to Steel Curtain Productions. Please hit the like, subscribe down in your right hand corner. Muchly appreciate that, trying to grow the channel. Whereas you get proper Steelers information and news that is actually not rumorville, more in the lines of factual information as we try to stay clear of rumors. Okay. Like I say, I keep it very limited because I don't run on rumorville. So as the title states, there is some information as it's June 15th, 2024 today. And the big news I believe it was last week, within that time frame anyway, good news. Mike Tomlin locks in for an extension of 3 years, which is a good thing. I know there's, been question marks around Tomlin, even as far as I went. You still have to admit he's an awesome coach and has a good, for the most part, a good record. I guess the question mark with Tomlin is really whether he can contain prima donnas. Because I believe with his record, I think, that's always been my question mark. With having such a good team, I think there could have been more championships, and I think it's probably because containing the prima donnas caught up to us in those years that we were so solid. And unfortunately, he was at the helm. But at the same token, when you look at it, it's good news in this regard. He's managed to still keep the Steelers. He's good at making a winning team. Now, whether he can take constructive criticism as far as hopefully now he just, with all the time he's been around, he's got to be 19 years by now. Hopefully he realizes that, this has been the nemesis of the Steelers is these prima donnas, where we probably would have come up with 2 or 3 more, at least, Super Bowls during his time. If, you've seen the shenanigans of Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell, and then it went on afterwards with a few more characters. Devin Boyce seemed to have some issues. It goes on and then you got, you had Johnson, who thankfully we finally unloaded. And of course, you get a young quarterback last year that you end up finding out, as thankfully, I'm glad he's gone now, Kenny Pickett, because again, that was, for not to be able to get his self in check and to put himself above, I can't accept Russell Wilson. Well, farewell, my friend, because there were question marks as much as we tried to have faith in him. So, so now I'd say hopefully by this time that they realize, okay, this is what's been the nemesis. And now we have something else. There's more news, yes. And congrats to Tomlin. And I think it's a good move, locking him in for 3 more years, because I don't see anybody in the NFL that is, in my books, would be able to step into that position and do any better with the issues we have. Because we're you can see it. Just look at the amount of movement the Steelers made in this off season. It's like a different team. So in this situation, and positive notes again. Tomlin reports this week that he likes what he sees coming out of the practices. That's good news to hear, because you got to respect. He seems to have a good eye to get a good pulse as far as how they're performing on the field. So good news is it sounds like that's going well. He's very happy with that. So again, congrats to Mike Tomlin for his 3-year extension. Now let's see if we can keep things in check and keep the prima donnas at bay and get rid of them. Now, other news. We had news also in an article this week that some of the defensive coaches are going to really let Minkah Fitzpatrick do his thing. So that will be nice to see, because I think it's you kind of look at it. There were so many issues going on with Steelers here and there that let him play his style of ball. And so I think that if we can get him, to be happy and content at playing his style of ball, he's got stardom in him. Let him do his thing. Keep him in check, but let him do his thing. I think that's positive news. Then we have the news that George Pickens there. There seems to be very positive news coming out of the offensive coaching staff that there seems to be and I think we knew that when we got him, that there was more to him. I don't think he was, the previous, well, Matt Canada, you look at him, he didn't know how to unlock anything. And I think you had a good receiver there. Now, however, young fellow, you got to, again, with this attitude thing, you got to keep that in check. Now, if they keep that in check, it sounds like there's an awful lot of what's being reported from the offensive coaches. They're quite pleased with what they're seeing out of them. And we kind of thought that as, Steelers uh, followers and stuff, that you could see that there was more, looking at his history and stuff, there was more to him. It just wasn't being utilized. So anyway, the reports this week are from the offensive coaching staff that they're seeing quite a bit of unlocked talent, and as we figured, potential. And that's great news, because I'm not happy with. That's the one area in the Steelers I'm not happy with. That to know that I don't think we've done enough with our wide receivers. Keep bringing in a lot of lower level type receivers, but not addressing that number one bothers me. However, maybe, just maybe, let's hope, cross our fingers, knock on wood, that Pickens, maybe he has that. That's maybe why they haven't moved on that. Maybe he is and has that capability of being the number one. And, with all the information coming up. So who knows? Because like I say, all I've seen is a lot of regular receivers being signed. I didn't see anybody that was at the level of being a number one that they had signed. So that was the one area of the team I was not happy with. Yes, I was very glad to see Johnson gone. Dante just prima donna, and when the time counted, he was not a team player and dropping balls. That was good to see, but we needed to replace him, and replace him with a proper number one, because he was never a number one. So with that being said, that's really my biggest complaint with the Steelers anyway, is the wide receiver group. Yes, they brought some in, they brought some experience in, that's for sure, but they have not addressed number one, and that's where I will keep nailing them to the cross on that. Other than hearing the news, maybe, let's hope and cross our fingers and knock on wood, Pickens is able to bring himself up to that level of being the number one. Let's hope, because we're, again, seeing the lack of movement on getting a star wide receiver, although, you got to be careful with them. You don't want prima donnas. And I'm still in the group of, for me, it's either Metcalf or Ayuk if we were to get one. That's me. Right now, it's from the names I've heard. We missed out on Boyd. So, that being said, then now we come to what else is there in that. So we got Minka covered. The next and the last, it's a very short tape. The last piece of news, as we know, it was good that Cameron Hayward was seen at one of the last practices, I guess. But however, still holding up. And then he's, being questioned by reporters. I'm not too I'm really kind of disappointed in him. I know they're at a stalemate on the new contract. I'm getting a little tired of. I had a lot more. I guess I placed Cameron Hayward at a higher level. I thought he was being one of the leaders that he has been for the Steelers, I thought there was more substance to him. Now, again, if I'm wrong, I'm only reading the reports of reporters of what they wrote. He said whether if there's not true, I would hope to see something differently. But if the way he's talking about, maybe it's time to go play for one of the Steelers' arch rivals, Cleveland Browns, as the article was about him and his wife being from there. And maybe he should head there. Well, if that's your loyalty to the Steelers, see you later. Okay? You know what? I've always been a big Cameron Hayward fan. But I'm going to tell you, I can't stand when I see a player get a big head. It's one thing to have a stalemate. But when you get too big of a head, that it's kind of showing signals from if those reports. And again, I apologize if I'm wrong but I'm only going by what the reporter interviewing Cameron said, and supposedly what Cameron stated. And if there's any truth to it, then I say hasta la vista. Because you know what? That's not somebody who's dedicated to their team. It's about the coin. And it's shocking for me because I always placed him as one of the top leaders. So for me, it's amazing. I don't think it's just Cameron. I think all sports has really gotten to a place where you don't find the loyalty that you got from some of the old greats. It's all about the big coin, and that bothers me in sports. I mean, I've always been a heavy Steelers fan, and in hockey, a Habs fan, and Yankees and Expos fan in baseball, and a Celtics Lakers fan. But to see that the monopoly where these players have gone, and I almost have to put the bulk of the blame on um, basketball and baseball probably especially, of causing these inflated contracts and this issue that brings prima donnahood and no loyalty whatsoever. It's all about the coin into professional sports. Well, to me, I don't know, man. I don't know if it's a case of the fans need to start speaking up and really making some noise. The commissioners of these pro sports, like, something's got to give. If this is what we're going to do, I mean, we as fans we're loyal to our teams, but then when you get into a position, like, I got to say, I'm kind of hurt hearing those comments coming from Cameron. And, I would hope that uh, management of the Steelers is not being a bunch of jerks about it as well to them. So you got to take that into consideration. But to know that we lost several really talented guys on the line, like Pruitt and Tuitt, sorry, and guys like that we let walk because we had, like Cameron, you had to make a decision, and yet they were younger. Well, if we had known all this garbage, maybe we should have held on to them, and where Cameron was aging. Knowing what we're hearing today, we lost, two or three really got good, strong guys on the line that we could still have there. Because, like I say, you're starting to get this feeling that there's no loyalty to the organization or to the fan base with some of these athletes. And pretty insulting because, like I said, I was a huge supporter of Cameron Hayward. And if those reports are true, I'm kind of disgusted, to be honest. If the coin puts you into that position, that you've got no loyalty to us, the Steeler fan base, and the organization, well, I say go pound sand. See you later. Okay? Because you know what? There's somebody out there, and maybe there's somebody who's got, and I think that's a big catch to finding guys that are grounded, don't have the big swollen head, and it's all about the coin, and give me a break. Okay, we need to stick to, and I think that's been the big pulse on Steelers Nation. I think that's been a big issue for us. Sorry to say this, but yes, I think Tomlin's a great move, but I think even him, he probably needed to be, and I hopefully that Khan's got him in a position to say, okay, this is where you need to grow, Mike. Yes, we believe in you, and yes, Mike, you're a phenomenal coach in this generation. But you got to be able to keep that locker room in place. No longer just the nice guy. You see a prima donna rearing his head. It's move him on. Sit him. Get him out of the locker room if he's a poison. That's got to be contained. Old Steelers, the way we've operated in the past, way back, wouldn't tolerate this type of garbage coming from some of the players. I don't care how talented you are. You guys are playing a sport that, yeah, some of us would love to have gotten to that point of being paid for something we love to do. Get over yourselves. And that goes to all professional athletes. That's my message. Get over yourselves and get yourself grounded. And maybe it's better start focusing on what really counts. And maybe you would be a little more grounded if you kept your eyes on the good Lord. Okay, because money is the root of all evil, and you can see how poisonous it is in these sports. So again, I say that's the news up to this point, and if there's any truth to the Cameron Hayward thing, move them the hell on then, and see if you can get to it back. I know I've heard there's been rumors there. I want some loyalty from my players. That's what I want to see. I don't want to see guys that are just all about their Bitcoin. I mean, is that where we've gone? And maybe it's, like I say, time for commissioners of leagues and fans to join together and maybe say enough's enough. We got to get these contracts down to an earthly level because the money's too high and it's too outrageous. It just seems like that's all that matters. Let's get things back to the root of having some passion for your fan base, having some passion for your sport, having some passion for your organization that gave you that. You were granted a blessing with a gift that you were, as an athlete, you're granted with a gift. Don't take it for granted. So, to all the Steelers nations, and actually everybody, around that watches this tape, I'd say Happy Father's Day to all the men that are fathers, and in Steelers Nation and all about. Happy Father's Day, and again, go Steelers go Steelers Nation go. You've seen it here at Steel Curtain, and we're trying to get back to those days. But boy, that's your news. Not a lot of news, but good news, bad news, kind of involved in this week's news. Pretty, uh, pretty revelational news when it comes to seeing the revelation of what's behind the Cam Hayward thought process. Very, very revealing and very disappointing. That's all I can say. And I was a huge promoter of that. I guess that stands will change as far as I feel right now, and again, I apologize to him if there's no truth to that report, but I can't see it being, correct us as fans if we're wrong. So thank you for joining me. Tomorrow's Father's Day. Have a great Father's Day, dads, and God bless everybody. We'll catch you in the next episode.